Radio silence. Hello and welcome to the Guns of August podcast. I'm joined here with Alex and Mr. Jonathan of the French and Russian empires, at least what remains of them. How are you guys doing here today?
I'm hanging in there. Hey, hold on. Tobias, go put some clothes on.
There we go, he's talking to his peasantry already.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
truly a
guys.
desperate state in the Russian Empire right now. They don't even have clothes. What can be said here?
They have no clothes. No.
I mean, the Emperor truly does have no clothes.
Yep, it's true. It's true.
How you doing there, Alex?
Hanging on by a thread.
I don't know about Fred. You got a lot of men there in Alsace.
Yeah. There are more coming.
Indeed. So the podcast here today, Ben, the Guns of August podcast, so named due to the game beginning in August, and, well, it seems to roll off the tongue here. So we're going to go ahead and have a discussion, firstly, of our war plans, how we feel that they turned out, what we feel could have been better, how 1914 itself played out, that would be the entirety of the year, started from August until the end of 1914, and then how we're currently feeling about 1915, and maybe a little bit about what we feel may happen, and how much Jonathan is going to cry in 1916. So we'll go ahead and start then with our good man. Let's start with you, Alex, and we'll start with the Western Entente. So let's hear a little bit about your war plan.
Well, my war plan was war plan number 13. It's a defensive war plan for the French. Yeah, in the end, it worked out as intended. I didn't know what you're going for, so it could be the Schlieffenplan, the Ruprecht plan. So it was okay. The alignment hit was heavy, but you can work with it.
It was quite a cost in rebel alignment, wasn't it?
Yeah, 25% alignment cost. Basically, so you are at 75% alignment towards Zonto from the start.
So we can say that the war plan actually was a complete success. It did defend France.
Yeah, most of France except one province.
Oh, Mademoiselle.
Yeah, except one province it did defend.
So the war plan was a 99% success. That's great to know. So then we have heard it from the Western Entente, and now from our Eastern Entente, our good Kaiser, our good Tsar, Mr. Jonathan, no clothes, plumber.
No, I'm wearing clothes. It was my son who decided to walk in his underwear, playing Fortnite on his little Nintendo Switch.
It's getting advanced there in the Tsar's palace.
Yeah, it's it's a complete breakdown here. At the start of the year, I honestly don't remember which war plans I took, but it was or war plan, but it was kind of balanced. My goal ultimately was not to do any major offensives, just to hold you where you were, or at least pull back a little bit, not give up too much territory. And for 1914, I think I was mostly successful. I know I was frustrating you a little bit, just trying to hold as much as I can, avoid any major fights as much as I can. Obviously, I wasn't completely successful, but in terms of the first year of the war, I think things turned out mostly how I wanted them to. The next year of the war, that's a whole nother story. But
if you make it to the next year,
yeah, we'll see if I even do.
So speaking a little bit more on the war plans, how did you both feel that the engagement points, because each war plan does have a engagement point cost, some grant you more, and then of course you do have the rail points as well. So some of the mobilizations do cost you more in rail points. Do you feel that was a hindrance? Do you feel that affected you at all? And I'll start with
really feel
Jonathan
impacted
here.
by it at all. it took a couple turns for any of my war plans to get up to full swing anyway. So, you know, that's why a lot of fronts I kind of was like, all right, I'm just gonna pull back a little bit, or, you know, I'm just gonna wait and then just try to get a flood of troops forward when I could, when the rail points came back to good, you know. So.
And it has been a flood. Moving over to you, Alex.
That's an interesting point for the defensive war plan is that you have initially more rail points than with the offensive plan, or other plans you have.
At least you can move a lot of supply around.
Yeah, logistically it was easygoing from the start, more or less. Okay, it was 1 or 2 rounds in August where supplies could not really flow except from one depot to another, but that does not really matter in 1 month or so.
And, no, it's been quite interesting.
Yeah,
sometimes. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, the other problem is that most of the troops are fixed for 2 turns or so. So to move them is not really possible.
Yeah, that was the difficulty there. The plan succeeded, it just was the wrong plan. I've got George in the chat. Thank you very much there, George. I want to see some railroad guns and stormtroopers. You know what? We don't have that kind of pornography here, you absolute perv. But that could be done. We do have some questions in the chat. We are going to answer those at the end, which will be quite nice. We can go ahead and address it to the players as well. So if you guys want to go ahead and address a question to a specific player, you can go ahead and put Alex or WE or Jonathan and EE. And then you can address those questions. So in terms of the war plan that I specifically chose a plan that would not see me at war with Britain immediately. Alex has been less than enthused about that ever since. But in terms of German war plans... Go on, Alex, sorry.
That's a nice description, I said.
Pissed would be a good description, I think.
It would be likely adequate.
Yes. But in terms of the German and Austrian war plans, there's, to be fair, the Ruprecht plan, the invasion of Switzerland, I don't know, maybe for like a LARP or for a beam gameplay, then I could go for that. But it's hard to justify any invasion of Switzerland. It's like, okay, you don't invade Belgium, you don't get the British moving against you, but you still declare war upon Switzerland, which does move the British, I'd imagine, but it also moves the Italians as well. And then you're also having to move through a mountainous country. It's amazing.
Yeah. The thing is that but you don't move preemptively. You don't have any troops in Switzerland, like in Belgium.
Oh yes, that's true.
So you can basically just block Switzerland off with 3 corps or so, and then march with all armies frontal to France.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And interestingly, Britain isn't moving, but only Italy is moving.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. So it doesn't move. Okay,
Italy is moving heavily, but instead of Britain, so 10 to 20%, so towards Saint-Antoine.
I suppose it's not the end of the world, but it is a bit rough. I do wonder how much manpower the Swiss actually have.
The problem with Switzerland is they have 5 generals, but no reserve generals, and can conscript a lot of divisions, so they can't really use them. They have initially 2 or 3 corps strengths with fortifications, obviously. So yeah,
So you're saying this is a great plan? Exactly.
We should have done it.
If you go for the worst war plan strategy for every country, then basically yes, because France will invade Belgium, which is minus 20 for Britain. Britain is at 50%. Britain isn't giving you engagement points and isn't giving you war supply and is not automatically joining your alliance, because you need 60% or more alignment towards it as France. So it would be even worse for France than until now.
Okay, so moving on then. So the war plan that was chosen then by myself then. Now reluctantly, and this is the thing, I said perhaps in the first episode, I didn't want to just go all out against Jonathan. It was never personal. It's just you get the best deployment.
Feels that way.
Well, we'll see about that. Mr. Zar has no clothes. We on Nintendo 14. Hope you enjoy that. But yeah, so in terms of like the deployments, we had obviously the option for the Schlieffen plan, and I very, very, very much did want to go for the Schlieffen plan. I very, very much did. It was physically painful not to, because you do have such overwhelming power in the West initially. You do, as Alex mentioned, you do begin with parts of Belgium already occupied, and it is really quite a major thing. Like as we mentioned with Switzerland and the Ruprecht plan, you don't begin with parts of Switzerland already occupied, but the Schlieffen plan, sorry, you do, which is such a big deal. And there was another plan, which was essentially where you have a occupation of Luxembourg without an invasion of Belgium. I can't remember exactly how the army disposition was, but I didn't want to take the risk by occupying Luxembourg. Now, technically, Luxembourg is occupied in the game. I do have a decision where I can completely occupy Luxembourg and bring it into play. But currently, it's kind of out of play, but still under my control, which works for me. We also didn't have a swing of Britain moving towards us. Now, in terms of where the forces were deployed, it was something in the region of about maybe 4 or 5 armies. It might have been about 4 armies in the east and 5 armies in the west. I think that was the reason why I went for it. In terms of the Austrian war plan, you have one which is the historical, which is where you try to do everything at once and you don't really end up doing anything very well. You do have a Serbian offensive plan, but it really does tank your alignment, and the Germans are not happy. It's not exactly ideal. You do get a pretty massive force to go ahead and invade Serbia with, but in the meantime, you do have a very large and angry Russian army to the north. So I opted for the plan, which faces us towards Russia with the Austrians. And the reason is you have 4 or 5 field armies in good positions, and they're ready to go. It doesn't mean you have to use them against the Russians, but it means that they're actually positioned well and can respond. And Serbia is an interesting one, isn't it, Jonathan? It's one of those of where if you push out too aggressively with the Serbians, you can have that fall back in your face. It's not an easy front, but it's not a front you can ignore. But I have been trying to ignore it as much as possible, if that makes you feel better.
Well, I've been trying to take advantage, a little bit here and there, just, trying to pull, the first year, trying to pull forces away from the Russian front by any means necessary. I briefly occupied, was it Sarajevo?
Yeah, Sarajevo, yes, briefly.
Just to try, okay, now he's going to need to pull back forces, which you did, but ultimately it wasn't nearly enough. And I might do it again. Who knows?
He's a madman. He might do it again. The difficult part is the rail lines. It's very quick to redeploy. Well, relatively quick.
Yeah. But I did go in there, destroy the depot just to annoy you.
Yes.
And, hopefully that helps the Serbian front at least a little bit, makes it more difficult. If you want to deploy troops, you'll need to deploy them in more specific places where it can't really penetrate as much. But it's been really hard dealing with, the offensive by both Germany and Austria.
It is pretty
beefy. I didn't expect a total focus. If I had, maybe my preparations would have been different, or I would have tried to maybe played some different plans, because one of the plans, I don't remember which one it was like 6 armies against Germany or something like that. Which I might have done that because I'm not super worried about how far the Austrians can push initially, and I can always bring up reserves, and it's the German army that primarily scares me.
I think something that we've learned as well is in 1914, obviously the winter did come, and the winter does shut down offensive pretty hard. As soon as the bad weather arrives, your cohesion just falls apart. So we have discussed when we do play another game in the future that we have learnt a lot, but I think in the year of 1914, I think we'll have a better feel for things of when to push and when to just think, okay, the campaign season's about to come to an end here.
Yeah.
And as well,
I've
we've...
tried to
Sorry,
be
go on.
very... I was just saying, I try to be very strategic when I push, because, I can't really, if I fail my attack, your counterattack is going to be devastating. So
You say that as if that happens.
And I'm surprised it hasn't happened more, but, that's always a fear of mine. It's like, okay, well, this is risky, but I need to try it, relieve some pressure from another front, or, maybe I can make some minimal gains here.
It is an interesting war, though, in the east, as opposed to the Western Front, where we have a very narrow frontage. And as Alex knows, it's like if there's any engagement, just due to the amount of forces in the nearby area, it's not an army on army, it's an army group on army group. It's an all-or-nothing affair. But in the east, there is room actually for manoeuvre, and it has been quite the different war fighting on the east. Like, usually we tend to follow the rail lines, because once you capture the rail lines, you can move your men around and supplies around. Speaking of supplies, my god, how quickly men go through supply and ammunition. I don't know how you're managing logistically, but every turn it is just like, I feel like Amazon.
Yeah, I'm constantly having to rotate divisions in and out. You know, pull some behind the lines and let them resupply for a turn or two, push them back up.
And you say they're taking casualties from boredom, is that right?
Sure. Casualties from boredom. Yep.
There we go. So now what we're going to do is move into discussion really of just 1914 as a whole and then early 1915, kind of like how the players are feeling about it in general. So I'll start with you, Alex. And of course 1914 has passed down 1915 and things really have escalated. So I'd like to know how you guys are feeling about that, and I'm sure you guys in the chat would like to know that as well. And to you future people watching as well, hello. So we'll start with you, Alex,
So,
Mr. Western Entente.
Only for 1914 or 1914 and 15 included now.
Yeah, you can do 1915, but just start with with 14 and move through.
Yeah. Well, after seeing the states the French military was in, after I took it over, I was annoyed. What should I say? My offensive or one attack failed in my eyes. It took very long to regain his troops.
For both of us.
Completed...
For both of us as well.
You got it fast, it seems.
Oh, I'm not too sure. That was because of the militia being raised.
Yeah, but I need 2-3 turns alone or more just for walking back to a depot.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and you were basically direct on side of one. So maybe I should have left since there, but complete brigades of men got wiped.
Yeah. I lost a few corps. I lost leaders. Yeah. I've never seen leaders wounded, but I had about 4 or 5 leaders just gone.
You have dead leaders. Oh.
Yeah. Well, they stay out. I don't know if they're permanently dead, but I've had a number. Maybe some died permanently, but I had a number that were just locked in regions around the area.
Okay. Yeah, none of my leader died, but basically most of the infantry died off. It's like okay. The loss of Air Force was a little bit annoying, but okay. Could recover that. The forts are most out of heavy guns now because I need the heavy guns somewhere else. Yeah, in 1915, it has seen a massive build-up of French corps, mostly armies. Armies and corps with artillery support of medium to light artillery mostly. So we will see what is coming now. As far as I have seen, you have 5 armies in the west, right?
Yes, much as I am trying my best there. It has been quite interesting to do it without raising men.
Yeah. I mean, you denied raising men as long as you could.
I was committed to the LARP.
Yeah. That's what you say. Yeah, more or less. I mean, I printed money like crazy.
Yeah, that's true. So, moving then into 15, how do you feel about 15 so far?
15 was until now very interesting year diplomatically. With the end of the Ottomans, end of the British finally, the ongoing technological research, and the entering of Romania, Bulgaria, and maybe Italy. We will see.
Yeah, hopefully not with Italy.
Depends if you play your event. It will take a while to get it.
It did fix my problems in Austria though, so that's nice.
Yeah.
It did fix the rebel alignment.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
But yeah, that's annoying. But on the other side, if you play it, you get the rebel alignment again. Right? So
And nobody wants to support the Rebel Alliance.
No, it's all about the Empire.
Yeah.
We're all
Exactly.
empires here.
Yeah. This is the Empire arc, not the Rebel arc.
So to say.
So moving on to you there, Mr. Jonathan, how are you feeling about 14, moving into 15?
14, you know, I think went about as good as it could, maybe even a little better. Especially once it was revealed you decided you hated me. I was expecting a lot harder pushes, and I think that was intentional on your part. But you know, I was worried I'd be much further back than I am now. So overall, with 14, I was fairly pleased. The one thing that quite annoyed me is some of my generals decided not to activate when I wanted them to, which caused me to miss out on some key opportunities. But you know, that's just the state of Russia. I think we've talked about it before too. Is you know, my divisions, even at level 2, are already significantly weaker just starting out than German divisions when you raise them.
You did have a few turns of level 2 over me though, so at least you had that for a while.
Yeah, but it didn't really help at all, did it?
Well,
and I think even then my level 2 infantry are still weaker than your level 1. But that just speaks to, you know, German power, and quite frankly, the Germans were ahead of their time in a lot of different ways in World War One. So, you know, overall, I thought it went about as well as it could have. I wasn't too disappointed. I was pretty pleased at a lot of the stagnation, especially when winter hit. I was just like, oh, thank God.
yeah.
You know, I knew I was going to be giving up these forts, and I wanted just for you to waste your time on them while I could build up my troops in key defensive positions, which leads me to 15, and I haven't seen the latest turn, but it seems my key defensive positions are
strong.
I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. But you know, in 2015, you know, we had the disaster at Kars.
2015?
Yeah, where the Ottomans came in, or not 2000. 1915, where the you know, Ottomans came into Kars, and my guys, it's like, we're not going to defend, we're just going to retreat, which seems to be a theme for the Russians. We'll defend for like a turn or two and retreat. And,
we have been trying to figure this one out in terms of behaviour. We're not entirely sure why sometimes cores react with dukes. We've noticed as well, like, for example, with Alex's army at Valdemoiselle, he issued an offensive order, but it just stuck. And normally after an attack, especially if an attack fails, they normally revert to defensive order, posture I should say. But then as well, on the Russian front, and especially at Kars, like, Kars is very surprising. Obviously on my stream you'll see that how just surprised I was. It's because I don't know why they retreated the way they did. Normally, we've observed that when armies are defeated and remain in, not outright defeated, they'll just tend to remain in the actual province. And I lost like 20-odd thousand men. You lost like 6,000 men, and yet your core retreated. So it's a little bit hard for us to sort of figure it out sometimes, what is causing a certain behaviour. So it does make it a little bit harder for us to predict what's going to happen at times.
I think the core was overwhelmed just with the mere amount of forces you throw at itself. Your armies had, what, 1,000 strength or so, and his core has, what, 300? That's basically just too much. You just throw too much men and artillery to them. So they just run, basically.
But I agree with what you said there, Jonathan, in 1914. I think due to the starting positions, and due to the fact that we are working with the armies as they are, and as well, we kind of had a situation where, especially around, well, at least as I call it, Kaunas, so like north of East Prussia, we've had like an army and an army sitting next to each other for quite a while now. And the reason is it's like, essentially, if you have an army, I have to check that with another army. I have to sort of like challenge that with another army. Otherwise, you are kind of opening yourself up to an offensive by the enemy. But then it's in the south, obviously in Poland, is where the main action's been taking place. But it has been interesting. I think definitely in early 1914, moving through 1914 anyhow, it wasn't a cakewalk. It was very much, I had to move and support my offensives. You did have a lot of men. You still have a lot of men. And you had the room to maneuver. It's becoming a little bit tighter now for yourself, because obviously I've gained depots, I've gained fortresses, I've gained rail lines, I can move more freely. But in the opening phases of war, I didn't have that, and it was really hard going. It wasn't a cakewalk. So I agree with you on that one. 1915 obviously is changing a little bit. We are seeing mobility. I'm hoping that this turn we'll see mobility restored to the German army. And yeah,
I'm hoping not. Because I haven't watched your latest turn yet, which I hear rumors about, and I'm none too pleased.
All I can say, I'm fine.
yeah, Alex is
You're
okay.
fine, Alex.
But I did see some French divisions at sea. Is someone attempting a Dardanelles campaign?
No, the interesting part is that I thought, or I remembered, maybe wrongly, that the Gallipoli is played automatically. So just that they will get British troops there, and I thought, okay, I sail there, get the British troops out, and sail them home, and then we leave.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I didn't know that was played automatically, so that's a little weird.
It's not an event. It just happens.
Oh, okay.
That's the point. And then, okay, that was I remembering. So it's like, okay, it began in February or so, 1915. So they should be there, but maybe because Britain entered the war so late, it will never happen because the trigger point for Britain passed.
No, it is interesting actually.
Sure. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see. That's actually kind of terrifying. I'm just kind of expecting like some British soldiers to rise out of the Dardanelles, like sort of train like Necrons or something. Just like they've been here the entire time.
They've just been there the entire time. You just haven't.
Yeah, but that's the point here. So it's like, and now they are there, and it's like, yeah, thanks for saying that British troops now.
Yeah. Oh, we're kind of committed to this now. Okay, well that's kind of mildly terrifying. Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, it's not even for the Western Alliance. Western Entente, it says nothing. So it's just.
In terms then of how I'm feeling about 14, 14 was. I mean, when we started out, obviously the way that the war plans worked out, with Alex's war plan being defensive in nature, I was like, wow, okay. That's a big sigh of relief there. It did mean that, especially for myself, because obviously I was always intent to actually hold defensive in the West. But I did want to try and push Alex just to try and gain a little bit of a tighter frontage. Mademoiselle allowed me to just not have to occupy 2 more provinces. And obviously I haven't really reinforced the West that much. So I didn't expect a very early Verdun. That was quite terrifying and horrific to watch. But I'm expecting horrific things this turn. I've seen gigantic stacks of French. It looks like you have more men than me and Jonathan combined on the Western Front right now. It's pretty awful to see.
How many armies do you have in total? You have, what, 5 in the West at least? And
Yeah, but they're not all divisions.
yeah, okay. So that's cool. That's the thing. So if you have 5 armies in the East, is that some sort of right in the assumption?
Something around that sort of, something around that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more than that, depends really. Some calls are quite powerful.
Yeah, do we say the number of French armies is nearing the double digits here?
I'm not shocked.
You want to send some of those over to Russia?
Yeah.
Sad thing is, I can't use your supply. Because you're a different alliance. So I can't send you something. Sadly so.
Well, it has been quite terrifying. I think on the Eastern Front then for the Central Powers, it's been going. Like as Jonathan mentioned, once winter did hit, it was like a hard shutdown. I was marching originally the army of von der Kluck towards Brest-Litovsk in 1914 late. And I'm like, yes, we're going to go ahead and move on Brest-Litovsk now. We'll try and trap the Russian army, I should say. And then winter hits, and it's just like I go from full cohesion to just like quarter cohesion. I'm like, yeah, this ain't good. This is not going to get me anywhere. And then as well at that same time, I did have Conrad von Hotzenhammer the hammer of the Russians about to launch a attack against Brusilov, and then winter hit, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll have to shelve that until next year.
So basically, winter is as strong as gas.
Winter is strong. It is absolutely terrifying. We've not really felt it in the
Favorite
West.
part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty difficult. It just completely shut things down. But it's been quite interesting to have in the Ottomans. Like, as mentioned at Cars, didn't imagine that success. I intended really, really, as you guys know from watching my side of things, is like, I had a core of Ottoman troops and like, you know what, I'm just going to try and get these men into the region of Cars, and once they're in, it's like if you attack them, maybe I can reinforce or something, but at least I've got like a toehold while I've got the opportunity. And yeah, then that kind of escalated and has since escalated. But it is.
And for me, I was telling, when I was doing it, it's like, oh yeah, there's no way this attack's going to be successful. The Ottomans can't really do anything here. I'm not. I've got my reserves. I'm okay. And then all of a sudden, it's like, gosh.
I'm not coping. You're coping. Yeah, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Oh dear. But I tell you what, the Ottoman Empire is bloody huge. And it is actually mildly terrifying having to think, okay, right, I've got the Ottoman Empire, they've got a decent bit of manpower, but I now have to defend this gigantic piece of territory with so many points, and especially seeing bloody French ships outside the Dardanelles, and what appears to be maybe divisions. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is just terrifying. I need to actually defend this now. So that's been fun.
You have to defend every port.
Yeah, every port.
What you just need to do is pull your armies back from Cars.
Yeah.
Abandon the fortress. Just saying.
I didn't expect it to surrender last turn. It just did. And Dubno at the same time. I was like, I said to the stream, I said, what, did we not have a battle at Dubno and Cars? And it's like, oh, it says in the little message, oh, they surrendered. I'm like, oh, that was quick. That was like 2 turns. Or like a turn of actual siege or something. They knew which way the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
The damn Tsar playing his Nintendo 1914. Too busy.
What is the Tsar even doing? No wonder people hate him.
Well, he's leading the troops, so...
honestly, the way things are going, I know Russia historically survived without revolution until I think it was 1917. The way things are going, I don't know if I'm going to make it to 1917.
Well, let's hope not.
As much as I'd like to avoid revolution, because I've played several games just against computers, never against real people. So my experience has been, oh, I made a mistake, but it's fine because the AI is, the AI. And there have been times I've made mistakes here, and I'm like, oh crap, I really hope he doesn't notice because I'm gonna die. It's such a different animal. I thought I knew the game okay, which, I think I still know the game okay. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still like iffy on, because the manual is like, I know Alex and you have both said the manual's kind of iffy, but it's such a different beast playing against a player. I've never seen the AI doom stack like you have, the AI does so many dumb things, which you started to do, and it's been great. It just sends unprotected supplies around.
Like me.
Yeah, that's what I said you started to do, which is great. But it does it like in bulk, like the entire front. You have like the entire front of Russia, and each thing's like occupied, but sometimes it's occupied by like a supply wagon or a single artillery piece, or something like that, and they move through your territory too. And so playing against a player who's smart and understands the game and is good at it is a new experience for me. But I think it's helped a lot to learn.
You definitely have to learn.
Yeah, it's been a lot of learning through pain, which they say pain's the best teacher. So.
Well, we have been learning the price of mile, haven't we? So we do have some questions here then. So we'll start with... let's see. You better Hubertius. I'm terrible with these names. Hubertus. So, he says, I'm curious about Plumbersmack's reaction to Paul von Leto Vorbeck's forces landed in Finland. This is Mr. von Leto of Scandinavia. How would you feel about that so far, Jonathan?
I'm not concerned. I've been expecting you to land there for a while.
But of course, I mean, come on, it's von Leto. You know how far that man's gone to go there. You know how far we've gone for that meme.
And he's gonna die, and it'll be great. And you know, memes
We'll
aside.
see about that.
Funny thing is that I have seen him entering Germany.
Yeah, Alex is just had some submarines. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, and I want to attack the submarine with the submarines. You can like, oh, come on, attack them.
Dear. So moving on into another question we have from Felix Gray. He says, I'm interested in your different purchase philosophies, i.e. focused on research divisions artillery. Should we start with you then, Alex, Division McGee? How did you spend your funds, and why?
It depends on the nation, because most of the time, my cores are 2 infantry divisions and 2 artillery pieces, light, medium, or heavy, usually. Or in dire situation, it's a militia. So how purchase it? Yeah, it's purchasing. Most important things are divisions early on, just to fill the gaps basically.
That's true.
Complete corps and to get complete armies, and then you can get light or more medium or heavy artillery in. And well, research, yeah, I fucked it up a little bit with too many research fired at once. So.
Well, to be fair, we didn't know that. That was something that we learned.
Yeah,
it wasn't something that we knew.
Basically, only starts the research if you are at 0% or 50-60%, and not at 80 or 90%. I guess this will screw it up. You will waste some points, I guess. But yeah, I wanted this blast in 1915, which was nullified.
Well, I mean,
ongoing.
We've learned things. I mean, we learned regarding like the entrance of nations. Like, for example, with Britain, like we were like, oh, they're at 100%, and then we're like, okay, they have to be at 101%. So these little things that we learn, and otherwise you'd have played Diplomat, you would have had Britain in a turn earlier. But this is where we learn and still the game.
So that's the point what we learn here.
Yeah.
I said it's more important to see, okay, where are my 3-star generals, where's my great headquarter, and brings the 3-star generals just to great headquarter to form the big army, or just to enhance them to form the big armies, and then fill him with core commands.
And how about on the Eastern Front, Jonathan? Have you been spending your funds, and why?
Mostly on infantry. Also, thank you for the follow duty calls. Mostly on infantry. I don't get much war supply, and I don't have much money. So most of my funds have been spent just like, all right, I just need, you know, as many men forward as I can get. When I have the opportunity, I'll try to get some artillery or some cavalry or something like that. But by and large, it's just like, all right, just human wave tactics. That's all I can really do. Because I think I would get like maybe 60 war supply a turn.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
And then I get about 200 funds a turn.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
So I have to kind of manage. You know, sometimes I'm just like, all right, I'm doing literally all the militia I can possibly do. And then sometimes I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to focus on the regular troops and go from there. And it you know, some turns I don't do anything else. Like, all right, I just need to save up for a couple turns so I can play this action or you know, research gas, because gas, what I thought was going to be my big savior, would put you on the back foot, and in reality it didn't do anything.
I think it did the opposite, actually.
Yeah, it made you angry.
It made you angry. Well, I mean, you had Brusilov, and he did win the battle. He forced me to retreat, but then the issue is just on the turn that you did that, I had like an entire corps of something like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 Jaeger divisions that just were heading there just the turn before, and then it's like, oh, okay, we have a great opportunity to now counterattack. And then counterattack into hills, which is where they excel, and it's just... Yeah, Brusilov's in a very interesting position at this moment in time, but he's a bloody good general. He has wiped out, as of last turn, he just wiped out an Austrian corps. There has been times in the East where you have found well, there was an early corps that I sent to, like, Rage or Rail Lines that just got demolished and then starved to death in the wilderness for quite a few turns. So,
Yeah.
that's been a long-running theme. Like, occasionally I'll send a single Austrian corps off on its own and it just gets absolutely demolished. So that's been a lot of fun there. But, so I think from the Central Powers point of view, I have committed truly to the LARP. I did manage to get through 1914 without... I did recruit 3 divisions maybe on the first or second turn, and now I regret that, because I can't say I didn't recruit any divisions in 1914, but I managed to get through 1914 without recruiting any more than 3 divisions. We had a fiscal supermajority in the Central Powers. We have not printed state funds, and the reason for that is national morale is really hard to come by. As the Central Powers, I was able to generate, I think I gained something like 250 war supply each turn, or a little bit more than that. Maybe like 400 or 500 state funds, maybe a little bit more, something of that nature. And then with the entrance of the Ottoman Empire, that's obviously increased. At the moment, I'm just shy of 800 state funds a turn, maybe just shy of 300 or just over 300 war supply a turn. And I'm hoping with Bulgaria that will be built out yet further, so that's been pretty good. But I have been trying to avoid inflation for no other reason than the LARP. Now, Alex and Plumber here have been taking state funds, and it's not the end of the world. It's actually not a bad idea at all. It does cost you national morale, but you do get 1,000 state funds, and you do get the inflation events that do ease inflation. But I committed to the LARP. I have committed, and I don't know whether it's worth it, but it has been partially financed by Russian war supply gains. And that has been the German heavy artillery regiment build-up, and I'm happy to say that that has been completed. We have maxed out the German heavy artillery pool. I cannot recruit any more heavy artillery regiments, but it's been a shame. I haven't been able to actually use them when I wish I could have used them. So they've all been sat there on the Western Front all this time, while in the East the troops are just like, can we get some heavy? And they're like, no, everything goes west. If it's heavier, if it's heavier than a light gun, it goes to the west.
Because the French are looming around. It's like,
the French are definitely looming. They do tend to do this looming gesture. And they're bloody aggressive, too.
Did nothing.
Did nothing wrong.
I'm just sitting there and waiting.
Yeah, Mr. Frenchy, we were kangs, we were emperors once, let's retake that.
Once, that's a good point, once.
Exactly. But it's been interesting. It's not been particularly easy because, like as Plumber said, like I have been able to press him, I have been able to press the Russians, but I've just never had manpower that's grown, while as your manpower has grown. You have built more men. So even if I do achieve these victories, it's still difficult for me to follow up certain victories because I need to have a certain amount of manpower or a certain amount of firepower or just have circumstances fall into my lap. But I didn't grow the 1914 army, which meant I still had to recover it and couldn't just move forward recklessly. I was working with what I had from the start, but I have been able to better equip them with support units and artillery. We've maxed out the Austrian medium artillery pool. Soon we'll do their heavy artillery as well. So it's been trying to build up for the future, really, which has been quite interesting. In terms of the Ottoman Empire... Oh, sorry, go on there, Alex.
I want just address the ammunition shortage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you have a shortage?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah. How about you, Alex? How you doing how you doing there, Jonathan, on ammunition?
I've got a really good stockpile of ammunition.
Would you care to share?
No.
Would you sign a treaty for that?
Well, yeah, once I get to Berlin.
Yeah, okay. Then you'll share the ammunition liberally with the Kaiser.
Yes.
I like that game
As
plan.
I said, once I get to Berlin, I will share some of my gas with you.
Yes, I'm all on the gas for that one. In terms of research, answering on my own, I was very cheap in 1914, didn't invest in anything that wasn't really heavy artillery in nature or artillery in nature. I didn't pay into any state funds, so I did fall behind in tech. And it didn't turn out to be that bad. It could have been worse had things been different. But I think because of the nature of the Western Front being so narrow, and because of relative success on the Eastern Front, I was able to kind of deal with being behind in technology. So it's not been too bad, but gas does make a difference. I was absolutely terrified the first time that gas was coming. You both were like, yes, so giddy, so giddy. And then I remember your phrase there, Jonathan. We both feel you need an L. And you know what? It kind of... Yeah. Well, you got it that first time. It's just afterwards it went a little bit skewy. But we have another question here, Van. So let's see. Felix says, Cavalry in the East has been an interesting side adventure. I do agree. It has been a pain in my ass. And then Felix again says, overall thoughts on Italy and its importance as a new front to extend precious resources. So I'll let you answer that, Alex. How do you feel then about Italy? Would you like me to repeat the question, or did you hear that?
No, I read it instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, interestingly, Italy has a good amount of money, and Warsaw brings to the table more than the Ottomans. So that will be interesting if it comes to it. So the question really is, I mean, it's heavily leaning at the moment in favor of the Entente.
At what cost?
Yeah, the Tunisia wasn't even so bad as I thought, to be honest.
No.
But I'm used to losing morale in the West because of my printing state funds and of giving some things away. But the funny thing with the Western Alliance is you just lose some victory points and some engagement points, and you get 5 morale back. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm down to 80 now, I'm up to 90 again. So that was okay. The alignment shift it was not diplomatically the alignment shift, but only in some local areas. So yeah, maybe that can be a problem, but we will see.
I think it's one of those with Italy. Even if they don't achieve anything militarily, whoever gets them, they get those resources, which is worth in and of itself.
The resources and
the Navy.
The thing, yes, and it depends. It's more, the Navy, and it binds enemy troops on the front line. So even if you have to invest a little bit into Italy, if it's joining us on tour, it will be interesting to see how Austria or Germany is filling the gaps.
I mean, the thing to bear in mind as well is if you do gain Italy, there's not any more investment required because you have the Italian army ready to go. So you don't have to invest any more forces beyond that. Whereas, let's say you get Italy, then I have to invest something there from offshore, from the Central Powers. It's not pre-existing. Whereas if you whichever side gets the Italians, they get the Italian army, and the Italian army can defend Italy. And they could even potentially push, but even if they don't push, it's the threat that they represent. You gain the state funds, you gain the manpower, the conscripts, you gain the war supply. Don't know how much they produce, but you also gain the navy too. And they can do quite a lot. I mean, we had the entrance of Japan, and Japan, I mean, that assault on Qingdao was a bit brutal. I was like, oosh.
Yeah, it was. I was committed to the lob. I made a red assault.
yeah.
So
it's
like attack with everything until you are dead or the enemy.
yeah, exactly.
So
it was rough.
So Qingdao was, it was rough, but on both sides, I think. On your side, it was a little bit rough.
Well, those men are coming back, but they're also not moving, so it wasn't the end of the world for me. But
are they coming back? Even if I blockade support?
I don't think they're coming back. I'd have to check that. I don't think their numbers have increased at all.
Yes, the cohesion will increase, but not the numbers.
Yeah.
Blockading support.
I mean, in terms of naval bombardment as well, naval bombardments are interesting. They don't do as much as you think they would do. You do take a lot of hits back, but you have been taken out. The guns are more or less gone. They're almost gone.
Or out of ammunition at least.
Yeah. So it is one of those.
Yeah.
But
So maybe because of your fortress and the coast guards, sorry. But yeah,
that's true.
back to Italy. Um, I'm not so sure. Italy has this good amount of production, really. So what was it? 30 war supply and 40 money or so per turn.
Mm.
That's definitely more than the Ottomans.
Yeah, well,
But the
yeah.
problem is that you have some liabilities with Italy. The
Mm.
Italian army exists, but it's not really organized into a good cohesive force.
So, like the
So
Russians.
worse, but because they
Yeah.
yeah. So and they can be invaded from the Adriatic or from the Mediterranean
Yeah.
Sea. So
Well, I mean,
that's
you do
the
have the British fleet now, so I've said to my stream as well, like, I kind of regret not using the High Seas fleet. Like, I could have blockaded France, but I was under the impression as well that Britain was going to join, like, within, like, a turn or two turns at the beginning, so it's like, oh, no, the British are coming, and then it's like, people are like, they're not going to be coming for a while, right? And I'm like, what?
where I was pretty pissed.
Yeah,
So,
to say the least.
okay, normally they should arrive, but they didn't. No, fuck. No, that's the point. But you could have raided the Atlantic shipping box, but it wouldn't have achieved anything because there are no ships in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Ship. Only in the Mediterranean. So the
I
French
think
and
I think all it would have
so-
done is maybe reduce the amount of war supply or state funds that you get from like your shipping, if you have shipping there.
yeah. Yep. Well, you can raid them, and this will lower the amount of war supply and state funds.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Well,
I don't know if you can destroy the merchants.
I think you can, but I'm not too sure. Or maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that we'll have to figure out in future games. And
Maybe.
I think we've been enjoying it so far. It's been a learning experience, and we will be looking at future games. We're talking about in a future game that I will play as the Russians, and I don't know who's going to be taking who, but it'll be interesting. I feel like Jonathan would enjoy playing as the Central Powers and just completely going in and making a pact with the Western Entente, just finish off Russia first.
It depends on the warplane you play.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. So what we're going to go ahead and do then, if Alex would like to just give a little bit of a description about what he does on his own channel, and if you could link a link to it as well, that'd be great. And then we'll move on to Jonathan. So we'll start with you there, Alex.
If I have a link. But yeah, I play some strategy games like SGS NATO, or some years ago I played Panzers and Command Modern Operation. I maybe will upload some videos sporadically over this play here, and then we will see. It's not always so active.
And then moving on to you, Jonathan. Tell us a little bit about what you do on your channel. You're predominantly Twitch-based, though, but you have been moving to YouTube.
Yeah, and I'm fairly recent. I've had Twitch for a few years, and I've just been making a little bit more of an effort to stream more. I'm a variety streamer, if you can even call me a streamer. But
Are you a clothed streamer?
I'm clothed. I'm clothed.
Oh,
right
okay.
now I've got a V-neck, so you can see my chest hair. But
oh wow.
I do most of my streams usually are to my turns for to end all wars. I'm actually currently doing my current turn right now on my
you
Twitch
need to fix that
while we have this podcast, and crying a little inside. It's a little too early for beer, unfortunately for me. But I also do stuff like Star Citizen or Naval Action, or I've done BattleBit. Whatever I feel like playing, I'll stream in for about an hour or two. I'm a father of 4 kids and I work full time, so
the man's busy.
So, and I am trying to upload all of my turns on my YouTube channel. So just basically copy pasta of my my stream. That's also, you can find me at Plumbersmack on Twitch and YouTube.
There we go. So thank you very much there, guys, for watching. I didn't introduce myself, but you're already watching here. I don't know. We're a few years in at this point. You know the deal. You know what you're in for. It's like, I don't know. It's like seeing... I describe my channel as being like, you go into, I don't know, let's say, if you purchase your Novus, let's say you go into Waterstones and you see like a 2-for-1 meal deal. That's kind of what my channel's like. You're like, you know what, it comes with a little bit of extra. Alright, it's not too bad. It's a bit of a discount option. I'll go with that one. It's not the best, but I ain't paying for the best. And I don't expect the best, but I'm happy with this meal deal, so, you know. It is what it is.
Meal deals are great.
Exactly. So thank you for watching there, ladies and gentlemen. I imagine we'll be doing another podcast in the future. What we're thinking about doing is kind of maybe August to August. We'll try and figure it out, but essentially like have a podcast for each year of the war and just talk about things and kind of repeat this format and just go like that. And I think that'll be interesting. At least then you guys can sort of get the thoughts and feelings on things as they do develop. So we'll have a goodbye here from the players, and then we'll see you guys next time. So would you like to say any final things then before we do go offline?
Yeah. I hope I get to gas you in Berlin.
Yeah. I hate your dreams. And you, Alex?
See you on the Western Front.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Until next time, thank you for watching. This has been the Guns of August podcast, and we'll see you all again in the next episode. I don't know how to do an outro for this one. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm just going to play a little bit of music, and we'll finish off here. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Alright, bye.
Right.
I'm still streaming, so people can hear you on mine. And this is going right onto YouTube.